Hey folks, welcome to Airtime Paintball, where people come to find out all the information they need to get good deals on paintball stuff. And today we're here to take a look at what is in this case. And this is a MacDev Prime XTS. Really nice gun. This is one of the ones I got this for myself to play with. I got a chance to shoot one and I was impressed, so I got one. And we're going to kind of take a look at what's different with the XTS versus the previous Prime, and take a look at the various features and stuff, and maybe figure out if you should buy one. Okay, so Prime XTS. Really nice gun. We're going to take a look at it. Started right from the case, sort of I've played with it already. It's not really an unboxing, but whatever, for lack of a better term. You can see they come with a really nice case. This is MacDev's high-end marker, and the XTS model is an update of the previous Prime, and we're going to talk about the various details about that in a minute. These are $1,400 retail, and they come in a bunch of different gloss and matte colors, pretty cool. And they've got some custom anos on the way as well, which is pretty neat. They use the Infinity drive, which is the same drive that's in the Clone 5 Infinity. And I did a previous review. I'll put a link below where you can learn about the Clone if you're interested in a MacDev, but maybe not go so far as to the high end. But let's open those up and take a look. So you can see the case itself. It's a really nice case. I've seen some Shocker paintball cases that use the same material, and I'm trying to think. The Exalt makes cases that are similar to this, but they aren't quite as rigid. I mean, this is still a little bit soft, but it has some real nice rigidity. Like, your marker is not going to get beat up inside your bag when you've got it in this case. It's a nice case, great feature. And we're going to talk about one thing that's kind of missing from this case in a second. So I think, let me see if I get the right way first. No, I didn't do it right. This way. Oh, it's Velcroed. It's the same way both ways. Okay, well, here's the marker. You can see we've got your standard stuff. There's a barrel sleeve in here, parts kit, lube, and it comes with a color manual. I really like the there's plenty of pictures in here so you can see what's being referred to in the various instructions. We got they're just showing you where the ASA lever is, how the barrel goes together, and things like that. And it's illustrated, descriptive. The pictures are good. All of those things are fine. You can see a little picture of the OLED here. It kind of reads, though, like a sort of like a quick start guide. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more detail with what each individual program parameter means and what you should expect when you adjust it, why you should adjust it, and those things. And so it could be a little bit better in that regard, but compared to other markers, it's a better manual than most, frankly, and it's well done. So let's look on this side first. This is what I was trying to do in the first place. Comes with a really nice set of Allens. Definitely better than your average included Allen kit. Really nice, sharp, milled or machined ball ends. I use a set of these on my bench. As some of my main Allens. They're really nice, but you notice I've got them out here on the side, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about the case. So they would go into this compartment. You see I've got the barrel in here, and here's the thing I think is missing from this case. The barrel that comes with this gun is a really nice three-piece barrel, right? It has a front and a back and inserts that are the control bore, and it's a great barrel, and we're going to talk about this during, as we move forward. The best as delivered, comes with the gun barrel, in my opinion, in paintball. An excellent barrel. You get a couple of backs, and they have, as you can see, I've added so that I have a complete selection of backs. I have a full barrel kit with this gun, and that is awesome. But when they put the case design together, they didn't design it with the idea in mind that you would buy all the inserts and have a barrel kit. So you can see, you can hear it when I move it. I've got them like smushed together in these pockets, and I have the two halves of the actual barrel itself over in this pocket, which is where the Allen wrench is supposed to go. And the only other place I had to put Allen wrenches is in this pocket, and now they're going to bump against my marker, and I don't like that. So I just kind of drop them over here. So I think they missed the mark on the actual design of the case just in this one regard. But like a lot of people, you know, I have lots of barrels, and I do love this barrel. I prefer a 16-inch barrel, not because it has a performance difference. I just feel like I point it better, and I've mentioned that in other videos. So I don't actually carry it around in this way because I normally use one of my 16-inch barrels just because that's my preference. Nothing to do with the barrel itself. So when I take this out, I can either break down one of my 16-inch barrels and put it in here, or I've got separate barrel cases and such. So in practical use, in my case, it doesn't actually make any difference. But if you're someone who likes to use the case and you want to put together a full barrel kit and keep it all in here, you know, that you have to double them up in here and put them in the tool pouch. So, you know, a little bit of a compromise. Not a big deal. Really, it's really more information, you know, than anything else. So. Oh, let's get the barrel out so we can put it together with the gun. And I'll just grab whatever this first. We've got here, first sizes, by the way, 675, 677, 681, 685, and 689. And if I remember correctly, it came with 681 and 689. And I added the other ones. I think they weren't terribly expensive. You know, I should have written it down for you, and I didn't. They might have been $30. No, they weren't $30. They weren't terribly expensive. It was really nice to put the whole kit together, and it's a great barrel. So let's pop this out and get out the marker. And I'm going to put this case aside. Here, put the tools where they're supposed to go. Get down to brass tacks here. Okay, this is called the Shift 3 barrel kit, and they sell these barrels, you know, as just, you can buy them as a barrel kit and just use them in whatever gun you like to use them in. And they're super nice barrels. You can see the control bores are very long. I didn't measure them. I think they're over 8 inches long. The finish quality is excellent. The machining quality is excellent. They're really beyond reproach. And the way they work is these go, I stumbled over this when I did my clone review. The insert goes in through the front of the back of the barrel, right? And then the front oh wait, I have it backwards. Did I do this backwards? Yeah, this side. Sorry, that's the front. In through here, and then the tip goes on, reverse thread like lots of barrels do. And then, of course, threads into the gun. And, yeah, so great control bores, great selection of them. The fit and finish, like the whole rest of the gun, and we're about to talk about that, is really beyond reproach. I mean, the machining is beautiful. The porting is actually angled. I don't know if that makes much of a difference in performance, but it looks cool. And, yeah, just a great barrel. You definitely 100% do not need an aftermarket barrel with this marker, and that's pretty cool. So let's kind of go over it. So I mentioned that the XTS is an update from the original MacDev Prime, and at casual glance, they look very similar. You know, it really is just an update. It's not a completely new gun. There's some new cosmetic milling on the top here, which is pretty neat. They changed the milling on the back cap a little bit. So a couple of updates they made. The previous model feed neck had the type where you flip the lever and you have to turn the lever to thread it in and out. There was no knob, and they've now gone to the knob style like Planet Eclipse and like other manufacturers. And I like it. It's convenient. It's the right way to go. When you have a hopper on there already, it's pretty fiddly sometimes to kind of get your fingers underneath the hopper and turn that handle to get it the right tension. It can be a lot easier to just flip this closed when it's a little bit loose and reach under there and just loosen or tighten it, snug it up or whatever. I like that feature. Another update for these was the grips. The original Prime grips were a little bit hard, frankly. Not the greatest. They upgraded the grips on these, both front and rear, and the result, in my opinion, is the best grips as original equipment on any gun that you can buy. I love these grips. They have all the things combined that are my favorite things about all different guns, with the one exception that they're not toolless. And I don't really get too hung up on the toolless thing, frankly. If it's really important for you to be able to have toolless grip removal and they just snap off, and that is pretty cool, I admit, like the Planet Eclipse design on the CS2, where you just slide there's like a little clip here and you slide it forward and then just pry it off with your finger kind of, and it pops off. I mean, that's definitely cool. I'm not saying that it's not. But for the the amount of time I spend taking grips off, which isn't very often, I don't mind the screws. So if there was one thing to improve, it would be that. But apart from that, the shape, you can see, hopefully, if you can see here, where it gets a little bit wider down here and it's narrower up where your hand wraps around. I love the shape of that. It reminds me, it's not quite as extreme as the ultralight grips on a die gun, but that tapered shape definitely reminds me of it when I grab it, and I really feel very secure and comfortable when I hold it. The material is perfect in my opinion. It's soft and it's not really tacky, but it's a very soft, comfortable rubber. The fit on the frame is very good, and the front grip in the same way. It's the same rubber. It's very, very comfortable to hold. It has there's a little bit of a ridge design in the front here to kind of give you some purchase. This rubber has so much grip to it that I don't think that's really necessary, but it looks good and it feels fine. I just can't say enough about the grips. And ergonomics to me are a really big part of what can make or break any paintball gun, really. I mean, pretty much any paintball gun over, I don't know, with over a few $100s, frankly, has the performance you need to be able to play paintball at a high level. When you pull the trigger, paintball comes out, they all shoot 300 feet per second. They all shoot 10.5 or 10.3 balls per second. So performance, some high end you might find a little bit easier on paint, or the shot quality is different and such. But as far as performance, there's not a huge difference. So when it comes to why we want nicer, higher end guns, things like the ergonomics, the cool milling, whatever, those are the things that make the difference, in my opinion. And as far as the grips go on this thing, huge plus in my opinion on these. Oh, and they're also, I mentioned they remind me of that die feel, but unlike the die, they don't have a weakness where there's a part of them that rips all the time, nor are they difficult to take off. So yeah, love that. One thing they've redesigned on this is the foregrip is a bit different from the Prime. The Prime has sharp edges along the back, which on this now it's completely got that soft rubber all the way around. Also, this foregrip is adjustable for rake. It is currently in the vertical arrangement, and I prefer the vertical. It's not a huge difference, but you can take this apart and flip the little mounting block around and get an angle that's, I think it might be 8 degrees. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 8 degrees, and that's the way they come delivered. So if it looks a little bit more square there than you're used to seeing these, it's because I've got it adjusted in the vertical position. I really like that, but really in both ways or in both orientations, it's comfortable. Okay, so I have my little list. I want to miss anything here. Other updates: the ASA lever on the bottom here is flat, so you have to kind of dig your finger underneath there a little bit to get it and flip it open. It works great. The Prime ASA is the same ASA, but this lever has a little bit of a kind of a little ramp. It sticks out there, so it's easier to get your finger on and flip it open. But occasionally people would catch that on something and degas the gun in an opportune time. So they responded to that input from players and made it flat. The only negative of this is if you're wearing gloves that cover your fingers, you're not getting under there to get that open. And I don't know if a lot of people are really wearing gloves like that. A lot of people wear fingerless gloves, or but anyway, not a huge deal, right? But you will need to take your glove off probably in order to get that ASA to flip. And by the way, if you watched my clone video, one of the things I didn't like about that gun is that it had the old style knob, and the knob was kind of in the way of my fingers a little bit. I didn't like the feel of that. And this, of course, you can see absolutely nothing in the way. You could hold it any way you want here, and you're not going to be interfered with by the ASA. So that's pretty good. Inside, though, it's not toolless, by the way. The body and frame do have their completely wireless connection. So you take this screw out and this screw out, and the frame just comes off, which is really neat. The bottom of the body has a cover plate on it now that covers both the solenoid connector and the connector for the eyes. It's a one connector. The eyes are together on a little mini wiring harness, and that cover covers all that, and it covers the wiring as well. It really makes it very neat in there. Keeps it organized, and it makes it so that There is no worry whatsoever of pinching anything when you put the grip frame back on. You just like stick it back on there, put the screws in, done. It's really great. Another nice feature on this, the eye covers. Toolless eye covers, which is an upgrade that lots of gun manufacturers have made over time, and MacDev now, no different. The Prime has one screw for the eye covers. These have no tools, and they're really neat. They're magnetic, and you can see, I'm going to pop it off now. You just get your finger, there's a little bit of ledge here, and you just pick it up, and it just comes off. And it has a little bit of a tab. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to inset some video here. This tab fits into a little groove, and then it just snaps on. And the magnet is very strong, and like everything else about the manufacturing quality of this, the fit of this piece is excellent. So there's no wiggling whatsoever. It's not loose in any way. The magnet is strong, and this is not coming off. I've been shot directly on this, and it doesn't move. It's not coming off unless you want to take it off. Speaking of the eye cover, when you do take it off, the eyes are they fit inside a small clear plastic shield which is pressed into the body, and that isolates the eye behind that piece. It keeps paint out of the eye. Your eye won't get broken paint on it directly, kind of like an eye pipe in a dye gun, except for this is just a little rectangular piece with a channel in it, and the eye here fits into that channel and keeps it clean. Also, you can see the detent here. The detent, and I'll insert some video for this too. The detent has tabs on the bottom of it that fit into the slot, and between that channel, that clear plastic piece, and the detent itself, this entire area here is completely isolated from the breach. So you're not going to get broken paint in here and goo. Some might be able to seep in if you get shot directly on it, but as far as broken paint contaminating this area in any way, making it messy, not happening. So that's a really nice feature as well. I'll put it back on there. Okay, let's see here. Yeah. So as far as updates, that covers the changes from the Prime to the XTS. Some general observations about this gun. It does use the Infinity drive, as I mentioned, and I keep mentioning manufacturing quality. And I know you can't tell this over video, and that plenty of gun manufacturers, Planet Eclipse, Dye, have perfectly good manufacturing quality. I have to tell you, there's something extra about the way these feel. I mentioned this in a video I made the other day. I feel like these guns are like the Lexus of paintball guns, because it's extra high quality fit and finish. I keep popping this cap up and down. It fits so well, and it's just so satisfying the way it clips in there. And the quality of these things, as far as the way they're milled, the way they're made, the way they fit together, excellent. So yeah, this thing fits together great. As far as the bolt itself, we can see here now, if you've owned or watched videos or have a buddy who has one, whatever, Clone 5 Infinity, exact same engine on this one, and they are extremely reliable. Like any spool, you do want to keep it maintained, right? And maintenance is plenty simple on this. I'll show you. The can just threads apart, and you just push the bolt through. You have the bolt, top of the can, and the rest of the bolt with the valve. And this is all of the maintenance that you need. There's one O-ring here. This is a bumper in the back, right, for the bolt when it comes down. So it hits against there. There's a sealing O-ring for the can. There's another O-ring externally here. Hard to see in the video, but there's one on this back piece as well. And then we have the front of the can, and we've got O-rings on the front to keep lubed. There's one on this inside bore, the sealing surface for the bolt to travel through, and then midway inside the can, there's another O-ring in there, and you just need to put some grease under your finger, get in there, and put it on the back. That's all the maintenance. It takes under a minute. You pop the bolt back through the can back on, maintenance complete. And the manual specifies to do that bit, just take the can off, lube those O-rings every 10,000 shots, and then they talk about maintaining the the velocity adjuster, the reg, etc. I think it's every 40,000 shots. So, you know, not like every time you play with this, you don't have to take it apart. I mean, very reliable, really good in that regard. The display, it's hard to see. Maybe I can hold that up for you enough. It's not huge, but a color OLED. Now, I've been critical. I mean, I keep comparing to other things because not a lot of people are familiar with MacDev. We're talking about a high-end gun here. So I've been critical of Planet Eclipse high-end guns in the past, notably the CS2 and the newer Geo4, which use the same screen, for their less than optimal screen. Now, that screen is larger than this. I admit it's definitely a smaller screen, and that's a negative. However, the main function of the thing is to be able to clearly see it and easily program it. And in that regard, this is an excellent screen. It's easy to read. It's not magic, right? If you have bright sun shining directly on it, it can be difficult to see. But a lot of the time, it is easily viewable outside, like while you're playing. And that's something I can't say for a lot of other guns. You can see back here, I have a 6 on the wall right there. It's one of my favorite guns to shoot that I own. The screen's a disaster. I mean, anything more than indoor ambient light, and you can't read it at all. It's terrible. The Planet Eclipse screen is large, but on the CS2 they put this magnifying window over it, and it makes it so that you have to move it around to be able to see the whole thing. And because of the orientation, I just don't find it as easy to read, even though it's larger than this. As far as presenting the information that I need to see and easily program by looking at it and pushing buttons, the only gun that I've played with ever, and if I think of another one later, I'll correct myself, but I can't think of anything besides the die guns with the big, that really big side-mounted OLED, are really the only guns that are better than this for the display, for me. Even though it's small, very easy to see, it's bright, you can see it outside, pretty awesome. Okay, so enough about the pieces parts. What's it like to shoot? So I'm going to take a break here and show a shooting video that I made and talk about the shot. And we're going to come back and sort of discuss a little bit about what we encountered there, as well as review maybe a couple of items that could use some improvement. Like what I always say, right? We're talking about the good, and then maybe the not so good. And frankly, like other MacDev guns I've looked at, there's not very much that is in the not so good category. But I'm picky, so I can always find something. Let's take a look at shooting it, and we'll come back. Hey folks, I'm going to do a little shooting video here of this MacDev Prime XTS. Super great shooter. I mentioned this in my Clone 5 video before. I don't know why more people don't like MacDev guns. They shoot great. They're very competitive with other stuff on the market in their various price points. This is no different. And I just want to shoot it and kind of give you my impressions. So let's take a few shots. I've already cronied this, by the way. So the shot quality of this gun, it is not your standard like soft spoolie. If you like a pillowy, soft cotton ball soft shot, this is probably not going to be your favorite shot. But there's a lot of people who like a snappy kind of poppy shot, and I'm not saying this is like an ego or anything, but it definitely has more snap to it. You can certainly hear it when I shoot. Than say a Vanquish, of course, which is a super soft shot. I always talk about how that's the softest shot like there is, pretty much, and not even quite as soft as like a CS2, for example, or it's really closer. If I kind of put them in order of soft to this, it would sort of be Vanquish, CS2, M3 Plus, and this would be very close to the M3 Plus. Very, very similar, in my opinion, as far as shot quality goes. Performance-wise, all of those guns are beyond reproach, and this is no different. Super, super consistent over the Crony. This paint I'm shooting is crap, so this is not consistent. But I did shoot some 5-star through it, and I recorded a bunch of strings, and I had a bunch of strings where 10 shots would have no more than like between 2 and 4 feet per second difference between them. It's super consistent, not with these footballs, but in general it is. And yeah, so let's rip a few more balls through it. Surely you can hear that little bit of snap to it for sure. I love the stock barrel kit. I think the barrel kit in these is awesome, and I'm going to talk about that in the video if I haven't already when I stick this in there. It's a really great barrel kit. They do shoot quite a little bit quieter. I prefer a 16-inch barrel, not for accuracy, but I just feel like I point them better, so I tend to use a 16-inch barrel on almost everything I shoot. And I've got like a couple CP 16-inch barrels that are bored for freak inserts, and also a die 16-inch, same way that I've bored the back for inserts. And it's a little bit of that snap sound is kind of taken away with that. So if you try one of these out and it's a little bit loud for your taste, I'm not saying you need a 16-inch barrel. My point is that other barrels with different porting do quiet it down a bit. It's not the quietest barrel, but it's a really high quality barrel. Almost out of paint here. Maybe one more in there. That's it. So yeah, I'll get it up to the camera a little bit. MacDev Prime XTS, really great gun to shoot. I love the ergonomics of this. One thing about when I hold it, I mentioned in the video, the grip here, the foregrip is adjustable between a little bit of rake or vertical. I've got it in its vertical position, and it's really not a huge difference, but I prefer the vertical position. When it's in the vertical position, the combination of the shape of this, the upper portion of this grip, or really the whole grip in general, and this being vertical, and the really great, I mean, like I mentioned, the grips I think are the best original equipment grips, or of course I'm old, right? Overall, you can't really get custom grips anymore, but as far as grips that come on a gun, I think these are the best in the industry, the gold standard. They are really comfortable. They're soft, but not too soft. They're very durable, awesome grips. And when you combine all that together, this is one of my very favorite guns ergonomically to shoot. And there it is, XTS. Okay, so yeah, you can tell I really enjoy shooting the gun. If you're, as I mentioned, you know, if you look at spool valve guns because they are the you know, cloud soft whisper quiet alternative to poppets, then this one may not be your favorite shot. You can hear it definitely has a pop to it in the sound. Or it's not a, you know, it's no like I mentioned, right? It's no ego. It's not a cannon, but if you compare it to a Vanquish, for example, which I've said many times, softest shot there is in paintball, it is clearly louder and has a much snappier feel than that. But a lot of people like that. And, you know, I always talk about how much I like a soft shot all the time. I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of coming around to the little bit of poppier, snappier shot. I really like shooting this gun a lot. And no, it's not exactly the, you know, super loud and snappy, but the CS2, I keep doing this with the pointing, the CS2 I have on the wall right there, I've played with a few times, and it is clearly has more snap and pop to the shot, I guess, than my Vanquish does. And yet I love, you know, I love playing with that a lot. And then this one's like another step in that direction, and same thing. I love to shoot it. I mentioned in the video, very consistent over the chronograph. That paint I was using is awful. It wasn't consistent when I made that video, but if you're shooting good paint, you have a reasonably close bore match, excellent velocity consistency. And velocity consistency is almost everything to do with performance, right? If you shoot a gun over a chronograph and it goes 290, 290, 290, 290, 290, the balls are going to go the exact same spot every time, nearly, right? Aerodynamic vagaries caused by the ball aside, right? And that's as accurate as you can get, I guess, what I'm trying to say. If you shoot a gun over a chrono and it's 270, 298, 265, 290, 257, 292, you're gonna be all over the place. You're never gonna be able to hit anything because you're always having to compensate for velocity. And this is no problems in that regard. Excellent performance. As far as efficiency, I did not do an efficiency test. I don't typically do that. I know people are interested in efficiency tests, and you can find efficiency tests on just about every gun. I find the value to be dubious as far as burning through 3/4 of a case of paint so that you can discover that a gun will shoot 30% more paint than you carry ever when you play. For tournament players who carry lots and lots of paint on them, really all but the least efficient guns are still sufficiently efficient to be able to shoot with an 80. With an 80 tank, you can shoot a lot of pods, right, on pretty much any gun. But nonetheless, for a spool, these are pretty efficient. I know that I've played with a full 80. I'm trying to think. I have a 280 hopper, and I had 6 pods, and the pods I use are the Virtue 165. So that's like having 7 pods that are standard 140s, pretty much. And after I shot all of that paint, I still had, I think, like 1,400 psi, or maybe even more than that, maybe over 1,500 psi. So yeah, with standard size pods, we're talking about 9 or 10 pods maybe, and I had a big hopper too. So efficiency, not an issue. Trigger feel. This gun has among my very favorite triggers, and one of the reasons, there's plenty of guns. I feel like one of the problems with trigger design is that so many guns come out and people try to reinvent the wheel as far as what is, like magnetic returns, and there are some guns that have the leaf spring on the top for a return, or you combine the two. And in my mind, all of my favorite guns as far as trigger feel all use the old school standard, like a coil spring that's straight behind the trigger, so that when you pull the trigger, you are directly compressing a coil spring against that pull. And there's a screw, and that's what this has. There's a screw in here where you can turn the screw in and get additional preload on that spring. And like I said, like other guns that use that same design, I love the feel of that trigger. This is one of my very favorite triggers. It's adjustable, of course, for pre and post travel, and as well as activation point and that spring tension. And with those adjustments, I get, like I said, I've got this set up exactly like I like it. It feels great. One thing that I would like to have, now the shape of the trigger kind of mitigates this, but I really like that feature on the CS2 and some other guns where the trigger itself rides on sort of a spline shaft, and you can loosen a set screw and then change the angle of the trigger. And I kind of like my triggers kicked out a little bit, and I really like that feature. I'd like to see these, or maybe the next iteration of high-end MacDev gun, have a feature like that. It doesn't bother me on this gun because you can see from the shape of this trigger, and in fact, I can adjust this travel-wise so that it even started raked out even more, but it already is raked out pretty well, and it doesn't bother me that I can't change it. Like, I don't wish I could move it more, like it's not enough for me or whatever, but it's a great feature to have. It really allows you to customize how it feels, and if you haven't shot a gun that allows you to customize that angle, when I say that, I mean independently of the other post-travel and pre-travel settings. You'd be surprised at how the big changes in feel of shooting you can get by moving that trigger. So that's something I'd like to see. And I guess I without saying so, I kind of started the things that are not so good. Now, I mentioned I really like this gun a lot, and there's not one significant thing that I'm like, not so good, this is bad, they should change it. There's not one thing. So I'm left with things like, it would be nice if I could have that trigger adjustment. That's definitely one thing. Another thing I'd like to see is, I feel like this sort of downward angle combined with the length of this part of the trigger guard is a little bit bigger than necessary. My fingers on the bottom sort of run into it. Now, this is one of those things, and I've mentioned this before, I only notice this when I'm like sitting at my desk and like sitting here and like, scratching my head about, what would I like to be different? Oh, this is interesting. My finger, that's the only time I notice it. I don't ever come off break and like whip my gun up to shoot a lane and be like, oh, I can't believe that trigger guard's in my way. I never notice it when I'm playing. But I would like this whole thing here to be tucked up just a tiny bit, sort of in a straight line with where your fingers go when you grip it. Again, very minor. I did mention the screen. I really like the qualities that the screen does have, and those qualities are bright It's color. It's easy to read. I like those things. I would definitely like to see more screen, right? Really, like say, like, and you can even leave it right there. Just make it like double the size to be able to have larger lettering. One thing my eyes aren't great. I mean, they're not terrible, but I'm wearing reading glasses. If I don't have my glasses on, some of the settings I have trouble reading. And if they made the screen bigger to have larger print so that I could see a little bit better, that would be nice, because I don't wear glasses when I play. And so on the field or just when I don't have my glasses on, I can't always read everything on the screen. So that would be another improvement that would be nice to have. I mentioned the case. I would really like to see them redo that case. So that, I mean, it's a shame. The barrel is so good. Like I said, in my opinion, this is the best OEM barrel that comes with any gun. Period. It doesn't matter who it is. Now there are others that are very good. I just mean when I put all the factors together, it looks really cool. The machining is really nice. Really long control bore, affordable assortment, and a complete assortment of boards that are readily available. Readily available. When you put all those together, I think it's the best offering. It's not to say that other barrels that come with other guns are bad. I just think this is the nicest one. And I can tell you that if I were shopping for a barrel kit, I would put a Shift 3 barrel kit at the top of my list to shop for barrels, even if I wasn't for a MacDev gun. I mean, they're that nice. They're really good barrels. So, given that the barrels are so good, that shortcoming in the case where you can't get all the inserts and fit it all in there easily and still use the case as intended, that's like just kind of annoying. It's a miss, really, right? I really would like to see them fix that a lot. I bought a few MacDev guns for myself, and the barrels are so nice. Even the previous, I can't remember what they call it. It might have been Shift 2, the previous version. Anyway, the barrels that come with the Clone 5S or Clone 5 Infinity are also, I mean, it's almost the same thing. They're not exactly the same model, but same type of design, and they are just as nice as these are. And kind of the same deal, right? I buy all the inserts because why wouldn't I want to? The kit they start you with is so good. You just add a few inserts and you have a high performance, really cool, great kit. So yeah, that's another thing I would change. The one other thing that I'm not a fan of on this gun, and as small of an issue as it might be, I think it might be the thing that bothers me most. The inside the grip we have a 9-volt battery, completely fine. The thing that bothers me is that the battery harness that plugs onto it is like the cheapest possible 9-volt battery connector, like you might see in a digital clock you bought at the dollar store for $3. I mean, it's a terrible, flimsy connector, and furthermore, it connects to the board by going through a hole in the board, turning 180 degrees and soldering to the board, instead of having a plug-on connector. I've seen plenty of guns that are a fraction of the cost of this gun with a vastly superior quality 9-volt battery connector. Doesn't have to have the spring-loaded tabs where you just pop the battery in. I don't mind the wired connector, but for a $1,400 gun, it should have one of those molded, hard plastic connectors with a short harness that plugs onto the board, so that if you were to have a problem, it's a very trivial matter to just pop it out and put another one on. If you were trying to hurry up and change your battery at the field and you made a mistake and broke one of those wires, you're done. You're not playing with your XTS that day, unless you happen to have your circuit board soldering kit with you and a spare harness. I mean, to me, that's kind of a glaring oversight on what apart from that, is like a superbly manufactured and designed gun. So there's that. And really, that is about everything. I mean, it would be nice if they come up with toolless grip removal. I don't care that much about that. I've seen some aftermarket parts where you can get the snap-on grips where you put the screws through and then the grips snap over those. I've never actually used those, so I don't know how reliable they are, but if those are reliable, that might be an option. Because frankly, You know, I don't get hung up on the tool list thing for any features, frankly. These eye covers are super cool, but it doesn't ruin my day if I had to take a screw out. I mean, it's a really nice feature, and it really cleans up the lines, like for the look. And then for the grips, you know, it doesn't bother me that much if they're screws, really not at all, frankly, but that would be an area for improvement. So yeah, Prime XTS, that pretty much covers it. Let me know what you think about it. Have you ever tried a MacDev gun? If you haven't, you should, because they are very nice, extremely well made, and they compete very well with any other guns that are in that same price bracket. I mentioned they're $1,400. A CS2, I believe the regular price now is $12.95 for a standard CS2. We have the dies. I think M3 Pluses are still $15.95. And I'm not sure about that. Someone will correct me maybe, but yeah, I think that's right, $15.95. And this gun competes head to head in every way with those other high end guns. There's no significant shortcoming that would suggest that you should not buy one of these. I mean, super nice. So let me know what you think about it. Have you had any experience with MacDev? Have you tried any of these, the newer, the XTS? Let me know. And appreciate you watching. And by the way, like I always say, if you like the videos, please like and subscribe. And I'm going to be coming back. I mentioned in a previous video, I've got a long list of things to do, videos on. We've got Hopper Roundup on the way, EMEC Hop Up on the way. I've got a, you can see, I keep doing this here. That is a brand new old stock GI Victus, which is a Bob Long Insight with cool milling. And TradeMyGun.com came up with a pile of new old stock of those. They're like 6 or 7 years old, but they're brand new. And I bought one, and that thing is a ripper, man. It's so fun to shoot. It works great, and they're not expensive. I'm going to do a review on that. A bunch of people have asked for a review of a 170R lately. And I'm going to probably do a 170R review in conjunction with which one should I buy, a CS2 or a 170R? Because when you go on the Facebook paintball groups, like, I mean, you can't, every day somebody asks, is it worth it to buy a CS2 over a 170R? So we're going to take a look at a 170R, and we're going to explore that question about should you spend the extra on a CS2 or not. And I mean, I have more. I mean, there's more. A barrel. I have a whole barrel roundup thing I'm like half done with. All kinds of stuff. So things you want to see, put it in the comments. Let me know. I'll put it on the list for sure. I'm here to give you guys the information you want. So you got something you want to see, tell me what it is. Like and subscribe if you would. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And I really appreciate you watching. Have a great day.